Hello and welcome back to the Go for Two podcast, and welcome in for our Week 7 preview. I'm Liam, your host, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, who's I think he's got a baseball hat on today. Is of course Mr. Muggs NFL. Patrick, what teams are we repping today? For anyone who's not watching the video.
Or I've gone, my hoodie's proper underground, like one of those kind of guys today. Drexel Dragons from when they're at Inner City, Philadelphia University.
Yeah, and the hat's baseball.
Yeah, the Oakland Athletics, even though they're not Oakland anymore, but they still are.
Yeah. Isn't there a baseball team? Is the baseball team moving somewhere as well in that area? Is that right?
It looks like it's going to go to Vegas. They've been playing in Sacramento this year.
Yeah, I heard about that. As a fan on the pod I listened to, saying that he's going to just pack it in, I think, with the moving his team like most people do, because Vegas is just unattainable for where he lives, and the prices are going to go sky high because it's Vegas.
Yeah, I think only the Raiders would have worked in the NFL. Only moving the Raiders to Vegas would have worked in the NFL with the type of fan base they've got, because they've moved around LA and Oakland a few times. But, you know, it's one of those places that you can't really associate with, isn't it, Vegas? We've all been there. We've been there and we've had a great time, but you don't associate it with like a place where you root for.
No. And there are a lot of houses there, but they're all like off into the suburbs, aren't they? So it's a bit of a strange setup for a sports town. But anyway, we're not here to discuss. We haven't got an hour on teams moving across country. We're going to do the Week 7 preview, which has got some good games, but got some stinkers again. So we'll have many games where we just pick the spreads and we move on to the next one. But before that, I thought we'd go through one piece of news. As we finished recording, it must have been, 15 minutes? It felt like from the minute me and you got off air. We did have our first coach fired. We were both wrong, again, 2 years in a row. We've lost our streak. Brian Callahan, the Titans head coach, has been officially fired just before Mike Vrabel comes into town. No surprise, really, to be honest. Yeah, organizationally, they've been all over the place for a while with the ownership group and the GM. They're very unorganized in terms of, like, they're the second most penalized team. Last year, they were the most penalized team. Offensive line's been poor, and things just haven't looked good. He gave up play calling as well 2 weeks ago, which we didn't mention on the pod. But he gave it up to the offensive line coach, the passing game coordinator, because the OC that he's chosen never called plays. And I think the GM was just like, this is just a complete disaster. So they fired him. He was the worst record last year, second worst record in the NFL this year. I don't think we're surprised, mate, but I thought maybe it was earlier than I thought. I thought it might be a couple more weeks yet, but they've gone pretty early.
Yeah, they clearly can see the direction that the franchise is going. So ironic as well that the man that should still be the head coach in Tennessee comes into town this week, right? Mike Vrabel. They'll look at that as a really, really bad mistake. You're always going to be a solid franchise under Vrabel. So yeah, but Callahan, he had to go. I'm not shocked. I think we could see a couple more coming in the next few weeks, to be honest.
Yeah, agreed. And we'll talk more about the vacancies, obviously, at the end of the year. But yeah, it's going to be an awkward one because you're in that position again now where they're out of sync. So it's a new GM, the ex-guy from the Chiefs. It's a new president of football operations that didn't hire Callahan, but did pick the quarterback. Now, the next coach that comes in wasn't part of the original group. But then that coach didn't pick that quarterback. And then they're in that weird chain where they probably need to get lucky and just find some offensive genius from somewhere. But yeah, we'll see. They're also the sort of team that could go after an old school type head coach. Maybe not Big Bill after recent dramas in college football, but someone of that ilk potentially. But yeah, we will see. I feel quite bad for Cam Ward, but the on-field production has just been terrible as a team. Every time you watch them, they don't seem good in any phase. That's the problem, I think.
Yeah, exactly. I think Cam Ward, he'll be okay. He'll survive this round. Obviously, he'll have a couple of years of a shot, won't he? Yeah, that's not start.
Yeah, I hope he gets the Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams treatment. And speaking of that is 2 games on Monday night we didn't talk about. The Bills lose to the Falcons. The games finished ages ago, so we're not going to break them down. But it did help you get a extra lead for last week anyway. You actually won the week 7-5 with the Bears plus 4.5. They won by 1. I had the Commanders minus 4.5, and that fumble at the end killed me for that one. So that means that the scores on the doors are... You've cut the lead now to a 6-point lead from an 8-point lead. So you're crawling back now in the scores as we move to week 7. And with week 7, we'll start on Thursday Night Football. We've got an AFC North matchup between the Steelers and Bengals. Most people would have already watched this, so we're not going to talk much about it. Steelers are favored on the road by 5.5 points. Maybe no Trey Hendrickson. Chase is banged up but will play. Joe Flacco's first game at home. You won last week, Mick, so you have to go first. Where are you going on that spread?
Bengals did me well last week, to be honest with you, but it feels a smaller spread, perhaps. They're not high-powered, though, the Steelers, but I think they'll play solid foundational football, and I can see them winning by a touchdown, to be honest. I've got a customer that's a Bengals fan that's flown out to this game on Thursday night, so fingers crossed that I'm wrong for him and then he gets a win, but I'm going Steelers on the spread.
Yeah, me too. I do think Flacco could probably keep it close if he gets those 50-50 balls down the sidelines. But yeah, got to go Steelers to keep a nice lead in the division as the Ravens are on bye. On to Sunday then, and we have our final London game of the season. It is the best one, save the best for last. Although there is a superstar missing, unfortunately, from this game. We've got the Rams at the Jacksonville Jaguars at Wembley. Cheapest ticket, by the way, was cheaper than Spurs, even though it's still super expensive. So there'll be loads of Jags fans there. I've heard there's quite a few Rams fans going as well. They've got like a European network with like a couple of Scandinavian fan groups I saw yesterday on Twitter that seem to be going. So it should be a good atmosphere. But the Rams are favoured by 2.5 points. This should be a fun game, mate. Some good offense. Obviously, Liam Cohen comes from Sean McVay's system, plays very similar type offense. Kind of credit Sean McVay a lot with his development. The Rams haven't looked as good as we'd hoped, and they're going to be missing Puka Nacua, like I mentioned in the intro there, of him being out probably for a couple of weeks with that high ankle sprain. What do we think this game's going to look like for anyone going to London? Are we going to get that really good, high-quality, high-scoring game, or could it get a little bit ugly with injuries and Jags being Jags?
Yeah, I don't see it being super high scoring, to be honest with you. The Rams, like we've discussed the last few weeks, they look a bit odd. Look a little bit out of sync, don't they? But they're playing kind of winning football along the way. But one thing I'll say for this game as a package is, obviously, we know it's the best game of the London slate this year. It is actually a really good game. It doesn't feel like that, on the timelines and stuff, because I think the previous 2 weeks have just taken all of the energy out of the London games. So I do think that it would be really good if it was a good, close game. I think would be beneficial for the actual game over here, wouldn't it? So fingers crossed for that. But I'm excited to see kind of the new look Jags. Obviously, they've been up and down in London, haven't they, past few years? But yeah, I'm excited. Let's see Brian Thomas Jr. is getting a bit of a more of a connection, isn't he, with Trevor? So let's hope that can continue at a bit more higher click, I'd say, than just kind of the odd big play.
Yeah, they hope to get the run game going again. Obviously, they're so good before that Chiefs game. Chiefs game didn't run it great, but did it okay in this third quarter. Last week against the Seahawks defended the run really well. So they'll be hoping to get the run game, get ETN going. I think he was number one running back in fantasy through 4 weeks. And, last 2 weeks, he's been outside the top 15. Yeah, we'll see which Travis Etienne we get. And then in terms of people going to the game, I think you will see a heavy dose of running the ball from the Rams. 2 tight ends, run the ball. I think without Puka, they're not going to want to just chuck it to Devontae, 13, 14 times at that age. I think they're going to be very careful of how much they overuse him. So I think we could see some big running plays and some aggressive down the field gap scheme runs from the Rams. So any Kyron Williams fantasy owners or bettors, I think will be quite pleased on Sunday, because I don't see McVay, at least to start the game, I don't see them going away from that. Obviously, if the score's 10-0, Stafford will just deal it up to whoever, he'll hit anyone. But I feel like they'll start the game thinking run first if you're the Rams.
Yeah, absolutely. He gets the touches, but he's not. This season, it's not been massive yardage, has it? But it is always good for fantasy football. But yeah, I really hope that this is a good game, to be honest with you, and not marred by silly decisions, and rather a good drive from a good team at the end kind of wins it.
Yeah, hopefully we get a good one. Cool. Me to go first then. My 2 teams here, but I think the Jags they've fallen down my love because they beat the Chiefs on Monday Night Football. I think they've lost some of their shine for me. So I'm going to go for the Rams -2.5. I think they win the game despite Puka being out, but I do think it'll be close. I think whoever wins, it'll be either a field goal or it'll be a 6-point game where the other team's defense then gets stopped to make sure they don't score the touchdown at the end. I think that's how close it'll be. But I'll go Rams -2.5 on the spread. I'd
like the Jags to win. I think that division is a hell of a lot more interesting than we thought it was going to be. So I'm going to go Jags +2.5. And I think it'll be a really good, close game. Yeah, I think I could see either winner in this by a field goal, but I'll just go on the Jags.
Nice. Well, anyone going to the game, hope you enjoy it. You still pay a lot of money, even if it's a bit cheaper than Spurs.
Well, at least it's a good game.
At least it's a good game, yeah. And the man who listens to every episode, Stu, I hope the Rams win for you, especially if you go into this game.
Go Jags.
On to the Eagles. Eagles, Vikings. I've got a fun stat for you in a minute that isn't that fun that I pulled out just for you. Eagles are favored on the road by 1.5 points in Minnesota. Minnesota are the number 1 pass defense in the NFL, so we'll see. Jalen, get the pass game going. The Eagles are the only team to not be 1-5 or 0-6 after 6 weeks, to be outgained by their opponent in all 6 games. Discuss.
What's to discuss? It's not good. That spread would have been, I reckon, 5.5 2 weeks ago, and that's obviously moved
probably.
Here, hasn't it? I think it's an incredibly favourable spread for the Eagles, really being favoured on the road still. Yeah, it's not looking good. I don't think it feels kind of good. It didn't feel good all the way through 4 weeks, but obviously the pass offense is not good at all. It's on Jalen and it's on kind of the coaching staff as well. So then it's just, I did see something though that every single run this season for Philadelphia has come out of only 2 formations. So every single team knows when a run is coming and you can just stack the box, and Eagles don't check a lot out at the line of scrimmage or anything like that. So, it's looking predictable, and it's looking like the season after we won the Super Bowl last time, in which it didn't go great. But as a selfish fan, I can give somebody a year off because I just took so much joy from it. But however, not everybody else feels the same way as me, unfortunately. So there's a lot of anger at the moment. But it's not just the pass offense, though. The defense is short. And I think this season it is fair. He is a god in Philadelphia. However, Howie Roseman has left the defense a little short this year. And I think it's fair that he has a little bit of criticism, even though obviously he's totally bulletproof.
Yeah, exactly. Arguably the best GM in the NFL. Well, I think Jason Light's probably up there as well from the Bucks. But yeah, you're right. The run game's not been good, and there's a lot of talk. Is it Saquon? Obviously, the most touches ever. I think it's what you said. It's the scheme, and it's being predictable when they're going to run, when they're going to pass. Passing game's not been great, and then the passing defense hasn't been ideal either, especially with 2 good cornerbacks. So it's that middle of the defense. It feels like that they've got to solve. I'm sure they'll make a trade or two, even if it carries on like this. It's just who they are. They're going to be aggressive. Try and win the game. What about the other side of the football, though? The Vikings, still going to be tough for them with the quarterback position as it is? Or do you think their defense can be aggressive enough and maybe score some points to give them a chance? Or is it just going to be too hard for them, even though the Eagles aren't playing well? It's just like, how can the Vikings score any points with the quarterback situation?
No, I don't believe that at all. When you got talented wide receivers like that, I think they'll be able to expose especially if Kenyon Mitchell is in practice, but his game it's up in the air at the moment whether he plays. And if he doesn't play, I mean the notch that the Eagles pass defense comes down is quite vast, to be honest with you. Keely Ringo and Adoree Jackson and Andrew Makuba, unfortunately, as well, has been abysmal for the last month. I think it looks like it's going to be Carson Wentz, right? I would actually play Wentz. I wouldn't throw McCarthy straight back in there if he's not healthy. For me, it doesn't feel like any need, but I think they can still have a lot of joy, actually.
Wentz revenge game. Is that what we're saying then?
Yeah, it's a bad timing for that, to be honest with you.
Needs to get the Super Bowl heartbreak they couldn't play in that game off and beat the Eagles in this game. Cool. It's your turn to pick the spread then, mate. Where are you going in this one?
I'm going to stick with Philadelphia because I don't want to go the other way on such a small spread. However, I can see a Vikings victory, unfortunately. Got the Giants at home next week before the bye, the Eagles. So these 2 games are actually incredibly critical for the rest of the season.
Yeah. Shall I go for the revenge game for a laugh? I got a lead on you. Come on. That'd be more annoying for you if this comes off. So I'll go for Carson, plus 1.5. Really, I think it's more of a crazy Brian Flores defensive game with some couple of big Jefferson catches and a field goal or something. But I'll go for Vikings plus 1.5. Probably regret that come Sunday, but we'll see. On to the rest of the 6 p.m. slate then, which we will rattle through. First game is the Saints at the Bears. Bears coming off a big win. Saints coming off that tough loss despite Rattler playing pretty well again. And the Bears are favored at home by 4.5 points. So a little bit short actually on the spread. But I feel like I pick the Saints every week now with this Spencer Rattler issue I've got in my heart. So I don't know if I fully do believe in the Bears. So I'm going to go for the Saints plus 4.5 despite the Bears winning 3 games in a row.
taking away the Eagles and Vikings game, which is defo the best game of the 6 p.m. slate, this is sneaky fun game. You know what I think? The Saints are pretty plucky. Yeah, they're not winning a lot of games, but now the Bears have won 3 on the bounce, got a winning record, but the rest of the division is looking really strong. So, this is pretty important for Chicago. And I think this will be a lot of fun. I don't think it'll be that easy for Chicago at all. 2 1-point victories doesn't lead me to believe that they can cover much of a spread. I'm going the New Orleans Saints as well.
Oh, wow. Rattler Hive. That's who we are. On to Arrowhead then. Feels like the only 6 p.m. game I get to watch this year. The Raiders are in town with Pete Carroll, and the spread is quite large. It's gone up as well over the last 2 days. The Chiefs are favored at home by 12.5 points.
Ooh.
It's a big spread against the Raiders. Raiders, by the way, 10th in the NFL on DVOA on defense, which surprises me. But they are 30th on offense and 30th on special teams. So you've got your 2 issues there that they need to fix. It is you to go first, dear. Is Rashee Rice coming back going to get the Chiefs a team plus point win, or are you going Raiders?
Offense is so bad. I'm not sure whether Bowers is going to play again. He's hurt. Feels like a real shame to not have him out there. One of the most fun players in the NFL, whoever you kind of root for. But I'm going to have to go for the Chiefs because defense is looking good and Geno is looking loose with his passing, to put that nicely. So I'm going to have to go Kansas City, to be honest.
Yeah, I'll go for the Chiefs as well. I was probably going to copy you on this one, to be honest, not to lose a point on there, but 12.5 is a big spread.
Yeah, it is big. It is big, yeah.
Yeah, Chiefs offense looks good, and, Rice is going to be trying to, be firing on all cylinders in this game. So it probably all comes down to can the Raiders, not make any massive errors, and then it'll be harder to win by 13. But a couple of picks is a bit of a write-off. So yeah, I'll go with the Chiefs. Pete Carroll job if they lose big margin here could be looking dodgy next week.
Yeah, but I think I said last week, I think a coach with his respect doesn't get fired in mid-season. That's how I feel.
Unless he leaves himself, I guess, yeah.
Of course, yeah.
He'll probably think he can turn it around and still make the playoffs. He's a very committed man, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
Sure. Dolphins at Browns then. 2 of the most tortured fan bases since we've been doing this podcast. The Browns are still favoured, though, at home, despite Dylan Gabriel being the quarterback. By 2.5 points, they are favoured at home, which is a big spread.
That's the first time ever we've said minus 2.5. Big spread.
Yeah, it feels like I don't know what.
It feels gigantic.
It feels gigantic, yeah. Now, I think the Dolphins are pretty bad, and I think they should make some trades, including maybe Jaden Phillips at the deadline, but it's me to go first. I will pick them plus 2.5 because they've been close recently. They can move the ball and they don't throw interceptions. I'm not sure the Browns can move the ball. I know the Browns' defense is good, but I'm not sure the offense is looking good enough to score enough points. So I'll go Dolphins plus 2.5 to buy McDaniel another couple of weeks.
I'm going to go Cleveland. And I'll tell you why, because before we came on the podcast, I read a tweet that said it's going to be 50 to 60 miles per hour wind gusts in Cleveland on the game. It's just Mike McDaniel, bad weather, I'll have the other team.
He'll be cold on the sidelines, though, probably, won't he?
He will. He'll be shivering. He'll be blowing away. Yeah.
I like how you kept that weather under your hat until I made it.
Yeah, well, you went first, didn't you? It's not a big game to talk about.
That's very smart. I like it. Yeah. On to a game that doesn't feel like it should be fun, but I think out of the 6 p.m. games, it could be quite fun. Panthers at the Jets. Panthers are on a good run. 3 wins now as well. Offense looks pretty good, but they give up 20 points every first half. The Jets are at home, but the Panthers are favoured on the road, which is a rarity, by 1.5 points. So it's a small spread. You're basically picking who's going to win the game, it feels like at this point, with a 1.5 point spread. And if someone loses by 1, it's just tough luck. You're to go first, mate. I think this could be fun on Red Zone, but where are you going with the spread? I think I know after some recent Jets chats we've had where you might lean.
I mean, can Carolina handle the pressure of being a favourite on the road? I'd love to know when the last time that was, because it can't be very often since we've been doing this pod. So, come on. I'm having Aaron Glenn and the New York Jets. I actually really root for Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers, but they're going to win a game, surely, the Jets, aren't they, at some point? They've got to win a game. You can't go over for forever. So I'm going to take the Jets to win a game.
I love it. We're getting to that point where some of the teams are just basically a write-off, and they'll either lose you or win you a week on our silly competition. I'm going to go for the Panthers.
It's the smartest move, I think.
I've picked Justin Fields a lot of times now this season, and it hasn't worked out for me. By the way, the last time they were favoured on the road was they're actually favoured last week. Oh no, sorry. 2021, September 2021 was the last time they were favoured on the road.
Well, that is...
So yeah, it's been a while. And they're going to win on the road. Come on, Bryce. Big throw to Hunter Renfrow for a touchdown.
Bryce Young wins this game 4-3. They've got Buffalo next week. Buffalo don't look right. So why not? You know, they'll be looking at thinking, why not us? So
Josh Allen only loses to bad quarterbacks, and that's Bryce Young's entrance music. And last game of the early slate, then the Titans that we just spoke about are at home against the Patriots. Patriots are also favoured on the road, as you'd expect, but it's a bit more than 1.5. They're favoured by 7.5 points on the road. And I've heard all week Drake May is in the MVP conversation. How do you feel about that? And how do you feel about Patriots favoured on the road by 7.5 points?
Down year for the MVP through 6 weeks, by the way. That's not slight on Drake May, just saying that. It's a down year for the MVP. I mean, we sat in a bar in New Jersey and watched Drake May throw it to the Steelers, or attempt to for most of the game, to be honest with you. So we've only played 6 games, haven't we? So it's a down year for that. I can understand. The top of the division, by the way, after 6 weeks, they'll be absolutely over the moon with that. With Tennessee and Cleveland up in the next 2 games, they'll be very pleased with that. But it's a big spread for a team they have put it on the Panthers this season. That was their biggest kind of spread covering victory was against that. But feels a huge spread, doesn't it? Where do you get? I mean, I think it's Mike McCoy, the interim in Tennessee. Can he galvanize them for a week to keep it close? Yeah, it feels a bit of a dodgy one on the spread. That.
Oh yeah, it does. It does feel a dodgy one. I'm not gonna lie to you. And the other key thing, which is me to go first as well. The reason I'm going Patriots is Vrabel. He was clearly peed off that he was fired from this slot. Did not get on with the ownership group at the end. Had big issues with the GM. I know they fired him now, but they chose the GM over Vrabel. So yeah, I am going to go Patriots on the road, -7.5. I think Drake looks good. I do agree with you. We might get that galvanizing performance, but I do feel like the team seem like they love Vrabel, and I think they're going to want to win. For Vrabel. So yeah, I've got to go Pats, but it is a big spread. Yeah,
it's a big spread. I'll go Patriots with you, and New England sitting at 5-2 looks great for our predictions.
Yeah, what do we have? 7 seed or 6 seed? I can't remember now.
I went 7th seed, I believe.
Yeah, I'm probably the same. The same. Jags division winners. We'll see. But yeah, both on the Patriots. Drake May, keep that MVP convo going. Like another big Stephon Diggs game. Stephon Diggs v. L'Jarius Sneed. That feels like an aggressive matchup in.
Trade candidate, by the way, I think, Sneed.
Yeah, hopefully not to my team. He's got like the knees of you now.
He has fallen off.
He has. Cool. On to the 9 p.m. window then, which has a couple of pretty good games, which one we'll talk about. AFC matchup first. We have the Colts at the Chargers. Big game again, it feels like, for the Chargers with so many injuries. But they are still favoured at home, which did surprise me a little bit, actually, with how good the Colts have been. Chargers are favoured at home by 1.5 points. So it is a tight spread. But obviously, Colts have looked really good against bad teams. They're number 1 in success rate, number 1 in DVOA on offense. Defense is relatively good. Special teams is really good. Chargers have still got loads of injuries, but very good head coach and a quarterback that's playing really well. I feel like this should be a fun game as long as the Chargers offensive line can give Herbert time on a few drives. Like, as long as they can do that, it feels like this should be a fun, relatively high-scoring game.
Yeah, biggest AFC game of the week, isn't it? And apart from the Bucs and the Lions, this is probably the game of the week. I mean, you wouldn't have said that 6 weeks ago, would you? But yeah, it feels it's set up to be. Glad the Chargers won last week, to be honest. It sets it up as a kind of a better game. It is a real shame about their injuries, and obviously it's going to take time to get any or lineman back, or that seems like the biggest issue. Vidal, by the way, he came in as running back 1 last week and over 100 yards, good touches. He looked a good offensive weapon, to be honest with you. So if you picked him up and not Haskins, you did well there in fantasy football. But feels a good game. I really like the Colts. I like the way that they play on defense as well. Struggled a bit against Jacoby Brissett last week. They feel like
yeah, defense. It's sometimes random though, isn't it? As well, that quarterback change.
Yeah,
like, okay,
it is.
Yeah. It can just be a bit random.
And the aggressive passing from the Cardinals was something we've not really seen from Kyler, wasn't it?
Yeah, true, exactly. And can the Chargers do that regularly when they've got their tackles out? It feels like maybe a little bit harder for them. I think it's me to go first as well on this one. I'm going to go Colts plus 1.5. Obviously, want this to happen, so the Chargers stop winning games. But I just think the Colts are quite aggressive on both sides of the ball. The defensive line, I think, will cause the Herbert problems because of the offensive line. And I think Jonathan Taylor will probably run all over the Chargers. So I'm going to go for the Colts plus 1.5 and hope this is a really fun game.
Now Buffalo have inexplicably lost those 2 games in a row. This feels an awful lot like the season where the Tennessee Titans got the 1 seed. I believe that might have been our first year on the podcast. I can't quite remember. Kind of feels like that. A team that's unexpected. I mean, they have the lead and they win this game, So it's, I'm going Colts as well. And it's interesting to see a different team and the renaissance of a Daniel Jones. So, I hope they keep it up.
Yeah, agreed. Colts versus Chiefs in November for the battle for the 1 seed. That'd be fun. On to our next game. This is good as well in the NFC. These teams are coming off 2 bad losses, but the offenses are pretty good. They're in your division. We've got the Commanders at the Cowboys. Commanders favored on the road by 1.5. I know they're not juggernauts. Cowboys, bad loss. Commanders, tough loss on Monday Night Football. But still feels like 2 okay to good teams at worst for the Cowboys' sake. Commanders, I still think, are pretty good. 2 quarterbacks play them really well. I think this is quite a fun game in a slate that doesn't have many fun games. And it feels like quite important. And maybe, I know it's important for both teams, but it feels like after Monday, Commanders could really do with winning this game and playing pretty well on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, I mean, are we going most disappointing team in football this year? A bit like kind of how I was thinking in the
Ravens.
Yeah, but when you take Lamar out of the team, but I know Washington have had a few injuries as well. But this, to me, actually feels like a huge game. You lose this game, especially if you're Dallas, 2-4-1. It's an ugly record when your defense is playing so badly. To be honest with you, it feels like a huge game, maybe a little bit more for Dallas. But Washington aren't going to want to sit there playing catch-up all season with a losing record, trying to get to the Eagles and trying to get a wild card if they don't win the divisions. Feels a massive game. An offensive explosion are we hoping for?
Yeah, I feel like this will be a high-scoring game. There might be some stupid defensive errors as well, but I think it'll be a high-scoring game. I'm quite excited. I think for a neutral, it's quite fun. For you probably want a 40-40 tie in terms of division and tiebreak. Better. Jerry with 2 ties. We love that. It's you actually to go first as well with these 2 teams. So, like I said, Commanders on the road, favored by 1.5 is our spread.
ED looking like he could play, but we don't know yet, do we, as time recording. I'm going to go that Dallas win a big game this season. So I'm going to go for the Cowboys. Dak Prescott feels like his play deserves a big win.
It's annoying. I thought you were going to go Commanders there. I'm going to go for the Cowboys as well. By the way, if the Commanders do lose this game, they're on the road to the Chiefs next week.
Yeah.
Not a great record if they lose that game, but then I'll be panicking they're going to beat us. But in theory, that could
by the way, they have Seattle and Detroit straight after Kansas City. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, we're both going Cowboys in a must-win for the Commanders. So I'm sure that's going to look good on Sunday. The last 2 games in our 9 p.m. window then are bigger spreads. We've got the Packers at the Cardinals. This is quite a big spread. Now, this has gone down a little bit, but they are the road team. Packers are favored on the road by 6.5 points. You are not convinced on the Packers, so I think I might know where you go.
I absolutely am not convinced.
That's a big spread, by the way. That's saying that's one of the best couple of teams in football, and they are still the favorites, I think, by the way, for the NFC.
Green Bay.
Yeah.
And that surprises me. They don't look on the field, do they, with the eye test as a favourite at all. I don't think Love is actually playing that good. He's talked himself out of the early week 6 MVPs. But maybe
he's 5th in odds, though. Still.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. Maybe he can kind of put it together for the rest of the season with the schedule. But to me, on the eye test, he certainly wouldn't be in my top 5 so far this season. But I don't know. Would I trust Kyler Murray or Jacoby Brissett more? Because we don't know who's starting at the moment, do we?
No, I don't think so. But I'd lean Brissett as a guess. He played pretty well last week, like you said, but that could be that adoration of that one random week. I'd like to see the Packers run the ball a bit better in this game. They're not run the ball well at all this season. And I think the defense needs to get a bit better as well, covering in the middle of the field, which they'll need to do against Trey McBride for sure. I think it's me to go first because you picked Cowboys first last game. So I will go with the Packers -6.5, but if they do not cover, they're going to be on my do not bet list because I've been saying how good they are and picking them all season, it feels like, and just haven't had the results to show for it.
The Cardinals have lost 4 in a row by a combined 9 points. I am going to go Arizona plus, I think. That feels like maybe Green Bay will pick it up and blow someone out. Doesn't look like it from what I've seen, so I feel reasonably comfortable going for a +6.5.
They won't blow anyone out until wildcard weekend at the link. That's when that will come.
At least we'd win the division.
We got loads of differences, by the way. 5 so far with 4 games left to pick. Our last game in this window is Giants at the Broncos. Broncos favored at home by 7.5 points. They're taking their bye not after the London game, obviously playing after last week. And the Giants, again, coming off some up and down Jackson Dart performances, but played pretty well against the Eagles. And obviously they've got that extra rest as well. It's you to pick. I know exactly what I'm picking here, but it's you to pick first on this one. You're a Broncos believer preseason. Are you still a Broncos believer?
I like how you dragged that back up now. The offense looks absolutely abysmal. That must be the worst winning performance in London ever. That is offensively, especially. So, no, I'm going for the Giants. Probably Denver win this game. You know, watching Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterbo, it's a lot of fun, isn't it? And hopefully they can keep this game close. And you never know, they might beat another good team.
Yeah, I actually think they could upset them this week. So, yeah, I'm going Giants +7.5 as well. Bo didn't look very good last week. The only time we would have a worse winning performance in London is if the Jets would have kicked the 60-yard field goal and won that game. Because 9 sacks, that's the only way that it gets worse than that. But, yeah, I'm with you. It was pretty rough last week. So, yeah, we're both on the G-Man. Any chance of a Giants playoff 7 seed being in the mix with 3 or 4 weeks to go? Or is it going to be a couple of fun games with quarterback and running back and then just fizzle out?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think what you've got is a bit of hope. I mean, we sat in that crowd, mate, and that was a crowd that needed a bit of hope, right? So you've got that, haven't you? You've got 2 wins at home against 2 good teams with your rookie quarterback and your lunatic new running back. So I think they got that hope. They'll have Malik Neighbors coming back next season. I reckon they could get 6-7 wins, and that would represent a small bit of growth.
Yeah, agreed. Did you ever watch the film? This might be a silly question because I've seen your Twitter all week. You keep watching sports films. Did you ever watch Mighty Ducks?
Hey, that's such a hurtful question.
All of them, even the second one.
Yeah, I think I've watched 3. Yeah.
You know the Bash Brothers. You know the 2 that hit each other in the head, and they go out and attack people. That is Scatterbo and Jackson Dart for sure. We're both on the Giants. What could go wrong? On to prime time then again. Feels like Sunday night and Monday night are bringing us the best games. Definitely on Monday. But this game should still be fun. On Sunday, we've got the Falcons at the 49ers. 49ers are still favored at home by 2.5, despite the Falcons win over the Bills. And the 49ers, no Fred Warner, no Bosa. Don't think Kittle will play in this game still. I'm not sure about Purdy, but Mac Jones has obviously done a good job filling in. You look surprised at that spread. Is that because of the injuries, or is that because you think the Falcons looked great on Monday?
No, I don't care about that. It's the injuries for me. I mean, they can only pile up so high before things have to kind of flip around that, don't they? Great win, by the way, for Atlanta. We're not taking anything away from that, are we?
No, Bijan looked like the best running back in the NFL.
I don't think there's a question. To be honest with you, him and Jonathan Taylor this season have been really out of this world.
Yeah, I even saw Saquon say Bijan's the best at making someone miss in the entire league. Like, he's so explosive, and I think that says a lot. Yeah, but you're right. It was a really, really good win. It's you to go first, but before we pick it, if they win this game, are we thinking Falcons legit good team, or are they still up and down? Because I feel like they're a team we've spoke about a lot last year when Kirk was disappointing. And this year, maybe they've gone under our radar a little bit. If they win this game, are you thinking, right, they're a good team, or are they just doing what they need to do against a banged-up team?
No, I would err on the side of caution and say they might be a pretty good team. The thing is about them, they feel dangerous because their weapons are playing exceptionally well. Like, by the way, it wasn't just Bijan, was it? Drake London was a monster against Buffalo. That's 2 weeks in a row. Him and Bijan have just took over a game. So when you have players playing like that, it kind of feels like maybe you are a good team. Maybe you're going to be a really dangerous team come the end of the season. They have a really favourable schedule as well coming up. Doesn't feel like the NFC South is as done and dusted as maybe. There's a lot of talk online. Do you know what I mean? Baker's the MVP through 6 and they're 5-1, top of the NFC. I think the Falcons are a team to watch out for, but all going to depend on the stability of play from Michael Penix. And the last 2 wins have been really solid. And that's all I feel like he needs to be.
Yeah. Yeah, they've got the weapons around him and they can run the ball well. Offensive line's played well despite the injuries, for sure. By the way, they're number 1 on defense in DVOA. The entire NFL. That is a surprise. And DVOA takes your schedule. It's not into place. That's the whole point of it. It's that's what it's there for. It's schedule based. But if they keep it up, the pass rush, the draft picks don't look amazing, but the group as a whole are playing much better. So they're in a good position. It is me to pick first. Oh, this is tough. I think I'm going to go Falcons. Came into this episode purely going for 49ers, but I think I am going Falcons. I'm not sure I trust what's going on at quarterback enough for the 49ers with all the injuries to make up for it. So, I'll go Falcons.
Yeah, I'm doing the same, to be honest with you. The injuries, obviously, are just crippling, aren't they, for San Francisco? I think they'll play a well-coached game, and they've still got some good players out there, but it just feels a bit too much for me until they get more of the bodies back.
Yeah, agreed. On to Monday, then. We'll flip the order of these games because one game is better than the other, slightly. But the first game's still good. Texans at Seahawks, which is the 10 o'clock Eastern game, by the way, which is hilarious that in America, if you're like a 10-year-old Seahawks fan, you ain't probably watching this game.
10-year-old? Never mind, 10-year-old. That's 40-year-old.
40-year-old. The Eagles are playing and Patrick's in bed. The Seahawks are favored at home by 3.5, so they get the hook past the 3. I feel like I've seen some stories recently about CJ playing better. But again, was that the Ravens? They're coming off a bye. Still not sure where we sit with the Texans, but I do believe the Seahawks are a very good NFC team at least and have a chance of winning a playoff game. But Texans still confuse me. I think I need to see more of them before I know what sort of team I think they are.
Yeah, the bye came at a strange time for them because obviously a horrific start. Then they beat Tennessee. Then they beat a battered Baltimore team. Is this the best team in the NFL that we don't know anything about? Probably. Probably is, because obviously the defense, I've seen it ranking really high in a lot of metrics. And obviously Stroud, disappointing, but has played better in the last 2 weeks. So I feel like they've got to be defense-led. And hopefully Stroud can play a bit more mistakeless football than unlike what he did in the first 3 weeks. It was pretty unimpressive, wasn't it? I think this is a really interesting game, actually, because Houston cannot fall behind any further in the division. They will be bitterly disappointed, by the way, if they end up finishing 4 games back of the Jags and the Colts, because after 2 divisional rounds in a row, that is obviously the opposite of progression, isn't it? So they'll be really disappointed with that, actually. So this feels like, it's a shame it's on a Monday night doubleheader, to be honest with you, because it feels like quite an important game.
Yeah, this week's been busy for me, so I didn't watch this Monday's games the morning after. I just watched highlights 2 or 3 days, 2 days later, so yesterday. But I think I might get up and watch the 40 of both these, because I think they're quite interesting games. Yeah. And if Sam Darnold plays well again on primetime, just, the MVP conversation. Through 6 weeks, we keep talking about. Sam can get himself in the picture. It's me to go first, I think, on this one. I'm gonna go for the Seahawks -3.5. Again, I just don't know enough about the Texans yet. I want to see if they play well in this game, win by a field goal. I think, okay, offense won't be great, but the offense will be good. Defense will be great, and they'll win some close games. So yeah, but I'll go Seahawks until I see the Texans prove it.
I'm going to go Houston. I think I like what I've seen with the defensive metrics. The talent on defense is there. I think this will be a really good close game, but I'll go the Texans because it's plus the field goal.
Yeah, we get plenty of things wrong, by the way. I've seen first coach fired, Ravens and Bengals to both make the playoffs, Steelers to have a losing record, stuff like that. That might come and bite us. But we said that the Texans, the Seahawks, and the Broncos would all have great defenses. That is 3 of your top 5 in DVOA, success rate, and EPA per drive. So they are all such good units. So yeah, Seahawks have got some injured players back as well this week. But yeah, want to watch the trade deadline? We'll talk about this then. Tyreek Woolen keeps getting spoken about. I think they should keep him. And I think that's a strange one, but that means they obviously love the guys that are starting ahead of him for now. But we'll see how that develops. Their secondary's playing really well. On to Monday Night Football then, where I'm not sure who's playing in the secondary for these two teams, but we know who's playing quarterback. It is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Detroit Lions. The two best teams maybe in the NFC, or maybe playing the best. Lions are favored at home by 5.5 points.
Wow.
Which is a lot. Bucks are down plenty of wide receivers.
Yeah.
The Bucks are not actually that high in many advanced stats on offense because they win the games at the end, yes, but they often get themselves into tricky positions earlier in games. And I think we all love Baker, but I think a few of us maybe forget that, there's a reason why we have to have a game-winning drive. It's because we've had 2 bad fourth downs or a pick in the first half. But he is playing really well. Last week was probably even better because of all the injuries that he had. But yeah, you seem shocked by that. Do you think that's kind of them saying the Lions are a much better football team, or are they going purely on the Bucks' injuries?
Yeah, Egbuka's out, Godwin's out, Evans probably going to be out. It's tough to win a game kind of without that. So probably once the initial reaction had gone, that was, it kind of does make sense. But have you seen, by the way, the best clip of this season so far from this week? The Tez Johnson clip.
No, is the one about the MVP chance?
It is. It's amazing that, yeah.
Explain it to anyone listening who doesn't know what we're talking about.
Anyone who's not seen it, he got in the end zone, didn't he? Touchdown, got his flip.
Great catch.
Yeah, great catch. Did his trademark flip that he loved at Oregon, and then the crowd were chanting MVP because, Baker Mayfield slinging it all over the field 6 weeks. He gets back on the bench and thinks they were chanting it for him. Genuinely thought he was like, I've not done anything this season. They think they am the MVP. I just think that was great. His actual reaction was so wholesome as well. When Shepard, I think, went, no, they're not talking about you.
Yeah, it was Sterling Shepard, the vet, getting in there. Who, by the way, I'm starting Sterling Shepard in 2 fantasy football leagues this weekend, so that shows you how well my seasons are going. To be honest, again, I still think this game will be fun. I think the Lions played pretty well against the Chiefs in the first half. Second half kind of got overrun, but they're going, against a good defense. Probably not a great one, but still a very good one. And the Lions, again, them themselves are backed up. So we've got like corner 4 and 5 against wide receiver 5 and 6. So this game could be quite chaotic, but I still expect to see points because of, even though there's injuries on the offense, I think the secondaries of both teams have enough. They're banged up enough, and the quarterbacks are playing well enough. I think this will be a really high-scoring game. It will just be, can they score touchdowns in the red zone versus field goals?
Yeah, completely agree with you. You've got Shepard, and I've been picking up Cameron Johnson this week in a few leagues. He was sneaky last week for a few points, so I've gone that. But I believe, is it me to pick first in this one?
It is you to pick first, but I already know, regardless of what you pick, what I'm picking. So no pressure on you here.
I'm going to go for the Detroit Lions, I think, just to win this game. The injuries are too much. I think Baker will make it really interesting like he always does. But probably Detroit pulling away at the end.
I thought you would go Bucks, but yeah, I am going Lions as well. I still think they are a very good team despite losing last week. I'll go for...
Well, you know what I'd say about Detroit? The losses to the Chiefs and the losses to the Packers look very similar. And you go back and watch that. You go back and watch that Packers game. When they got dominated on the lines of scrimmage, they looked poor in the second half against Kansas City and most of the game against Green Bay. So they'll look at that and think that's a slight worry for us.
Yeah, they don't want to fall behind in games in the playoffs. Like they did against the Commanders, by the way.
Yeah, exactly.
Last season, it's the same story. I heard them today linked to Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb, by the way.
They make a lot of sense.
Yeah, it feels like a defensive lineman makes a lot of sense for the Detroit Lions. But yeah, I'm with you. I'm picking the Lions as well. I thought we were going to have a difference there, but we didn't. But we still have plenty of differences for the week. We got 6. So I'm actually only up 5. I read it wrong earlier. So I'm up 5, 6 differences. We could have Patrick 1 point ahead by the end of this week if he gets all his games right. So in the early window, I've gone for Vikings plus 1.5. Patrick's gone for Eagles minus 1.5. I've gone for this is bad. Dolphins plus 2.5. Patrick's gone for the Browns 2.5. We should have just deleted that game. I've gone for the Panthers minus 1.5. Patrick's gone for the Jets plus 1.5. Oh no, actually, we both said the Colts. We've got 5 differences. We both said the Colts plus 1.5. Sorry, I got that one wrong. And then I said the Packers minus 6.5, and Patrick said the Cardinals plus 6.5. And then last but not least, on Monday Night Football, I said the Seahawks would cover the spread minus 3.5, and Patrick said the Texans would cover at plus 3.5. So yeah, You've got to rely on the Eagles, Browns, Jets, Cardinals, and Texans. I've got to rely on the Vikings, Dolphins, Panthers, Packers, and Seahawks.
Good mix in there.
It's like a good mix of good and bad for us.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll come back on Monday and talk about how wrong or right we were on some of our predictions. But yeah, that is it for today's episode. Remember to go follow us at GoFor2Pod on X/Twitter. You can also go follow Patrick as well at Mugs NFL. We can get you Tez Johnson MVP t-shirts. I'm sure they won't be selling out anytime soon. And we'll be back Monday to hopefully break down a really fun Week 7 of NFL action. So yeah, have a good weekend, everyone, and we will speak to you soon.
I'll speak to you soon, everyone.